Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to be going over artifacts, how to get them, and their impact on units. As you start building units for level 100 and higher difficulty content, artifacts are one of those things you can look to help give a unit that bit of extra power. They're easy to get and use, but the process of getting the right ones, if you care, is unfortunately one of the more annoying things in the game. With that, let's get started. Artifacts are accessible in their own separate menu in both the enhancement screen and the character passive screen. On the enhancement screen, they're treated as something you limit break and level up, and upon reaching max limit break and max level, the artifact is unlocked, and the game gives you a random artifact passive. The limit break material for artifacts is, as you'd guess, more of that same artifact, while the EXP material is any other artifact. Unlike weapons and armor, however, MLB'd artifacts do have a proper enhancement use. You can use an upgraded artifact as limit break material for another one, as long as it started out at the same rarity. So you can use a gold turned diamond artifact as limit break material for another gold artifact, but not a silver turned gold artifact. Also, as you may have been able to guess, artifacts are character specific. I can use VV golds as limit breaks and experience for another VV gold, but using a lion gold only gives me more experience. In the passive menu, each unit can have 5 available artifact passive sets to choose from, but can only equip 3 at a time. If that unit already has 5 in their pool, unveiling a new one will prompt the game to ask you if you want to replace one you already have after showing you what the new one is. Each artifact has 3 randomly generated parts, the CP cost and the 2 artifact lines. The CP cost ranges from 5 to 15, but with armor being relatively inexpensive later on, it's not the biggest hassle. As for the 2 lines, there are 2 categories of them, stat lines and what I'm calling ability lines. The best lines are written in orange rather than in white. All characters share the same possible stat boosts: attack, defense, max bravery, initial bravery, and HP, as well as having at least 4 ability lines. One common term you may hear used when referring to artifacts is C50 1 or 2 star. This is referring to the character's crystal level 50 passive, which for most units also exists as an ability line, with the 2-star variant being the better one. Way back in the day, when crystal level 60 awakenings were still new, they tried implementing reworks into artifact ability lines instead of directly into a unit's ability extensions. This didn't go very well, as you'd imagine, for a handful of reasons. They did one test batch, decided it was a bad idea, and then turned the artifact system into what we know it is today. However, that initial test batch never got readjusted in quite the same way, so they still have those unique passives and are dubbed in the community as the Cursed 6. Sarah, Vivi, Lion, Cater, Yuna, and Aerith. These units are certainly usable with investment into other things such as their EX weapon and summon boards, but they definitely gain more personal or team strength when their artifacts have been farmed for. However, due to the way the artifact pool works, it's even harder to get the so-called cursed artifacts than normal orange lines, so it's its own kind of hassle if you choose to do it. There are a few ways of getting artifacts. The one that's basically always available is the Radiant Artifact Tokens map at the bottom of the World of Illusions menu. Stick to the top node, the second tier one. There isn't really any reason to do the lower tier one more than once. Beating it gives you gold and silver artifact tokens, which you then redeem via the artifact token exchange at the bottom of the token exchange menu. If you weren't sure about how to get those limited time redeem for X characters Idoja missions, that's where you do it. The other method is event co-ops. Using a link bell in co-op will grant you Idojas, gold artifacts, for every unit with boosted status for that event, the amount varying depending on what difficulty of co-op it is. If you host, you always use a link bell. If you guessed, using a link bell is optional. Aside from the link bell Idojas, you also gain Idogas, silver artifacts, just for completing co-ops, and they're also something you can redeem for in event token shops. Note, only use golds as your actual artifacts. Both silvers and golds give 2 lines per artifact unveil, but the rates of getting better lines with golds is much higher than with silvers. At this point, you may be wondering what artifacts are best for each unit. Well, it varies. There's a few guidelines depending on what role the unit fulfills, how their abilities work, etc. I'll link the community artifact sheet in the description, so reference that since it's comprehensive for every unit released in Global. To roughly explain some of the guidelines, here are some things to know. 1. Stats are more impactful than percent-based boosts, so stat lines are a higher priority than ability lines when talking about individual boosts to attack or max bravery. 2. Party auras such as Rose's and Bart's C50s are more impactful than raw stats for them since those are supportive effects that apply to the whole party. These would take priority over stat lines for those units. 3. Damage units want even more attack due to the way bosses in Chaos gain stats as their HP goes lower, so C50 effects that increase attack are the preferred secondary alongside a primary attack stat line. 4. Support units' preferred secondary line is usually dependent on what their battery effects are based off of, be it attack, max brave, or initial brave. 5. The Curse 6, as you'd guess, have different priorities due to how strong their special artifacts are, and the ideal artifact for them involves at least one curse line. Again, these are rough guidelines, and there are a few exceptions to these rules, such as Lon and Rain preferring max bravery over attack due to how their skills work. As I said at the start of the video, artifact farming is really annoying. With randomness being how it is, you can spend many farming sessions fusing artifacts and not getting any improvement, and then one day having a perfect set surprise you. With that being said, triple perfect artifacts aren't necessary even for Chaos, and most people would settle at getting at least the most desired line on 3 separate artifacts for a unit and calling it good. Is it possible to get perfect artifacts? Absolutely, and it's a wonderful feeling to see those correct double orange lines. Is it necessary? No. You can get 3 acceptable artifacts and call it good until you care more. Summon boards, equipment, and party composition are more impactful in the long run than perfect artifacts for most of the cast. Decent artifacts will help your units perform better in battle, but you don't need any perfect artifacts to do good in Chaos. If it's any consolation, the dev team have acknowledged that the artifact system as is isn't very good, and are looking into ways of improving it. And with that, we've reached the end of another video. I personally do have my issues with the artifact system, but it's not like there's anything I as a player can do about it anyway, besides fuse more and hope to get lucky. It's hard to complain about randomness anyways. It is pretty nice to get perfects, but unless I'm planning to farm for a cursed character or there's a really good method of getting artifacts at the moment, I don't invest a lot of time or drop boosters into it, not as much as I used to. Invest as much time as you want into it, but as I said earlier, decent artifacts can be good enough. If you're interested in other beginner guide videos about Omnia, check out the rest of my playlist here, or my channel for other assorted videos on the game. With that, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.